Hi, I'm Ashley Miller with Weatherby Healthcare. Today, I am connecting with Dr. Kusnezov, an orthopedic surgeon who often shares his locums experience on weatherbyhealthcare.com. Let's dive into a hot topic: how you choose which locum agency to work with. Now, many physicians would likely say compensation, because after all, we're talking about someone's livelihood, but your reasons go a little bit deeper than dollar signs. So can you explain why compensation is such a big factor in your decision to work with the locums agency?
I think that compensation at face value, it makes sense if that's number one. I mean, that's what you're getting paid for your time. I'd urge you to look under the surface. I think that the compensation really reflects kind of how much a agency and our hospital system values your services and values your time. Many times, as I say, you'll be presented with the same job from many different agencies around the same time with different compensation structures, flat rates, base pay with hourly, gratis hours, and kind of weighing these gives you an idea of which ones not only I think would value you a little bit more than others, but also in terms of overhead, it gives you an idea of the efficiency of the agencies. I think, for example, potentially much smaller agencies may have to fold more of the profit back into the agency themselves, or conversely, bigger agencies may have more physicians vying for the same job, so it may be more of a value on that end. But either way, I think that it gives you an idea of how smoothly things run and how much is being folded back into the company versus directed toward you for your compensation.
For physicians who are new to locums, what advice can you share with them on how to figure out how much they're worth?
It's a little bit tough right out of the gate, and I think the answer is twofold. A smart guy learns from his own mistakes, and a wise person learns from those of others. I think that you definitely have to look to your predecessors and see kind of, for physicians in the same position as you with the same level of training and or specialty, what they're making, and how long they've been doing it for, what companies they work with. And that's kind of what I did out of residency to get my footing. Now, beyond that, I think you learn a lot more in your own practice out there with different companies negotiating prices, and you'll perpetually get presented with different jobs with different rates, and right out of the gate anything looks good, but eventually you'll kind of see what the going rates are for certain levels of coverage or types of coverage, and that'll just give you a better idea of what you're valued at by that agency and for those roles.
What are the telltale signs that you're negotiating with a solid locums agency?
The number one thing for me is basically the negotiability and how well you vibe with the agency. I think that a solid locum agency will have big capture. They'll always present you with jobs that you hear from other places, so you'll have much greater exposure, but they'll also present you with more favorable payment structures. They'll be essentially acting as your agent, so you want to feel that they're really in your corner and they're going to bat for you. They have your best interests in mind. And I think, with those things considered, I think that, a solid locums agency would have all those features.
Okay, so in your opinion, what is the number one service every great locums agency should offer?
It comes down to accessibility. I think things constantly change in the medical field. Dates change, travel is always an issue. And I can't tell you the number of times that I've gone on, locums assignments and had issues with either flights getting canceled, hotels being overbooked, getting there and the hospital realizing that they meant to schedule for the next week, things like that. And so having someone that's able to troubleshoot this real time, and I think beyond just the 24-hour line, which a lot of agencies have, I think it's also kind of a connection with your agent. I have, the people that I work with various locums companies, we have each other's numbers and we're on a first name basis. I mean, if I have issues, I give them a call or a text, and I always get something back within, a very short period of time. And so I think it's that connection and that turnaround that really makes a difference.
What other important questions are you asking to make sure they're a good fit for you besides the after hours line?
I think it goes beyond the questions. I think at face value, I'm looking at the compensation that they offer and how willing they are to work with you and fight for what you think you deserve, and something that works well for both you and the hospital system. Like I said, I've been in situations where companies have told me, you work for me. And on the flip side of that, I've had companies who tell me, just give me whatever rate you want and we will try to get you whatever you want. So I think that, it's really, it comes down to a lot of the intangibles in terms of kind of best fit situation, kind of like a doctor-patient relationship. First impressions matter. The vibes you get from working with people matter, and you really want to leave people with the best possible impression and knowing that, they're in good hands and you have their best interests in mind.
You can find more articles and videos by Dr. Kusnezov on weatherbyhealthcare.com. Look under the blog tab.